Faith leaders and community reps within New Zealand's Muslim and Jewish communities signed a new agreement, the New Zealand Harmony Accord. It's a response to Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. The initiative, which will form the basis of a joint organisation, was led by the Minister for Ethnic Communities, Mark Mitchell. Juliet Moses is the President of the New Zealand Jewish Council, joins me this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Along with Abdur Razzaq, who is spokesperson for the Federation of Islamic Associations of New Zealand. Good morning, Abdur. Good to have you here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Tell me what, starting with you, Juliet, what is the theory here? Is it that New Zealand can be different to other places like Australia where things have been much worse and much more fractured socially, that we can do something different?
Yeah, I think that's right. We want to show that we can be a model for other countries. We've seen what's happening overseas. There are obvious tensions here as well. And I think Minister Mitchell's idea was that we can be different. We're an incredibly diverse country. We're a very stable democracy. We've got a history of peaceful relations between our very diverse communities. And I think the intent is to show that we can be different and better, and it gives us a foundation to build on.
Abdur, why? I noticed that there are quite a few groups, some Palestinian groups, who didn't want to sign up to it. Why is that?
You know, the path to peace has some challenges, and also within our community. We have some in our community who said, look, we have to have more consultation. And you know what? That's right. There are some who say, look, we shouldn't be doing this at this time, given what's happening in Gaza, the children being killed, the women being killed, just getting food. And they're also right. And there are some who says, look, we shouldn't be at the table with those who are, who have been deniers of the genocide which is taking place. But, we have to, as Minister Mitchell has said, we have to step up. They've given us a platform, the government has, to address Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. And if we are not at the table, we won't be able to express our views. And there are some significant issues which are happening now, right now. Central to the March 15th was a hate crime. And the amount of hate that is in New Zealand right now, even by objective data, police crime data, it's just gone up in the faith area. Muslims suffer about 60%, Jews just as high. But what the issue is here is that there's also Islamophobia and of course anti-Semitism in schools.
Abdur, who's doing it? Is it because you said that it's Jews and Muslims who are experiencing sort of religious hate? Who's doing it? Is it the Jews who are hating on the Muslims and the Muslims hating on the Jews, or is this the rest of New Zealand in the middle kind of getting involved?
It's a very interesting question. If you see online, it's a whole plethora of people, both locally and internationally. But what happens is that I won't say over here the specific people, because we don't know who these specific, of course we know in terms of what those who are convicted and like, but this is the whole, hate has become normal. We see what happened to Brian Tamaki. And the problem is we don't have any framework settings to safeguard us. Let's look at the Human Rights Act. Doesn't give us,
Yeah, I hear you, and I know we've had recommendations up the wazoo to do something about that. Juliet, do you actually agree with Abdur that would you like greater protection from freedom of speech or hate speech for Jews in New Zealand? Are you both on the same page on this question?
The Jewish Council doesn't agree with sort of lowering the threshold on, if you want to call it, hate speech laws. We do certainly, so no, we don't agree on that, but we certainly agree that there needs to be more initiatives, education. There's a number of things that I think can be looked at and that we can do together.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would agree with you just on. The more you try and stamp it out with a law change, it doesn't actually change people's views or their minds.
Can I just interrupt? Ryan, you made a very good point. But here you have a Human Rights Act, 131, which covers race, color, gender, but leaves out faith. So we are not covered. So Juliet is right from her perspective because the Jews are considered as a race. So they are covered. But Muslims and other faith groups are not covered. And the Royal Commission said, hey, that's a huge anomaly. So whilst we are not talking about denying, this has been since 1993, and from then to now, there has only been one case which has been taken on the free speech area, but we actually have no scaffolding. Now that is not fair. That is not equitable.
All right,
It's
fair
not
enough.
my saying. So William's saying it.
And
So those are the things we are talking about.
All right. I just think it's good that as organisations, leadership organisations in New Zealand, that you guys are all, for the most part, coming together and saying, we can do it differently here. We don't need to descend into, madness, which is where some places have gone. Really appreciate you both being on the program this morning. Abdur Razzaq, who's the spokesperson for the Federation of Islamic Associations of New Zealand, and from the New Zealand Jewish Council, President Juliet Moses.